Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, why do I feel weaker again? And then I remember, oh yeah, it's a level 2 Pidgey. I am weaker again, and I'm fighting a level 5 Weedle. Can you imagine, like, a little worm beating a bird to death? It would almost feel like, you know what? If this is nature, if this is how nature works, then you know what? I have nothing to say about this. I can't say the bird deserved to get beaten to death by a little worm. But you know what? Nature really does work in mysterious ways. I can't even comprehend this. I need to switch animals. Yeah, we'll replace it with another worm to take over the battle. Then you're like, oh, a worm teamed up with a bird. That's interesting. How does this, like, work? And then you're like, oh my god, I can imagine the whole movie in my head. And it's like a Pixar movie where it's like a bird growing up. And it's like, Mom, you're feeding me a worm, but that's a living thing. And the mom is like, I do not... This is why I did not want to be a mom. But then the bird is like, I guess I have to. I'm a dumb little bird. But then later, he feels the guilt and he's like, there's gotta be another way. Then he teams up with prey. The prey thinks he's gonna eat it. Then he's like, wait. But then it turns out... Wait, hold on. I'm jumping too far ahead, okay? Because the bird is like, no, worm, I'm not gonna eat you. And the worm is like, huh? I'm alive? Maybe I can turn this fervor in my favor. Yeah, let's team up. And he's like, yeah. And the little worm is like, because I'm gonna use this to become the most fucking powerful worm in the world. I have a bird at my command. This is an evil worm. It's not like a I feel like this is a genuinely good movie. So let me develop it further a bit, okay? A worm teams up with a bird, and the bird doesn't even realize that it's an evil worm. And the worm... Actually, hold on. I feel like I'm onto something. But I have no clue how to develop this further. Because, I mean, what does a worm have to offer a bird if it's not gonna get eaten? The worm is like, you can eat... Oh god, what can a worm bring out? Chestnuts. Do you like that? I don't think birds can eat that. What can birds eat other than worms? Write that down, write it down. The worm. Oh my god, what if a worm... Okay, I've got it. The worm goes to an ant hill, and the worm is like, check out that bird. And the ants are like, okay, so what? And he's like, well, I got a command over this bird. And the ants are like, what? And it's like, yeah, so you better do my bidding. Go to that house and get all the crumbs and cake and things and food you can find, or this bird is going to descend on your anthill. And he's like, oh my god. So the ants bring the food to the worm provides the food to the bird, and the bird has no clue. He's just like, thank you. And the worm is like, I am a genius. I have like, the world is under my command. And this is only where my empire begins. Oh man, this is like the first episode, and it's already just like killer. It's just act 1 of the movie, or we could just develop this into like a 9-season Game of Thrones thing, where like a worm becomes like the ruler of the entire forest. Anyway, how do we go from here? Well, the worm needs to like encounter something, right? Some kind of resistance. Maybe other worms are like getting, you know, another worm is witnessing this, and he's like, wait, that's like, what's his name? What's the worm's name? That's Kevin. That's Kevin, and everyone hates Kevin. And who's that bird? That's Timmy. That's Kevin and Timmy. And then the worm informs the other worms, we have a problem. Well, what's the problem? You guys know Kevin? Yeah, he sucks. Well, he sucks even more now. And all the worms look at each other. And they're like, what's happening? Oh, Kevin got a bird. Like, what do you mean, he beat a bird? Kinda. He has it under his command, and he's making ants. He's forming an army. But then, as they are discussing things, one of the worms hears like a sound outside. While they are discussing things, what do we do? What do we do? He's like, oh, no, just we need to wait. We need to wait. And then one worm is like, guys, do you hear that sound? And they hear like, boom, 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 boom. It sounds like a couple of footsteps, but it's thousands. And then they're overrun by ants. And Kevin is outside looking at this. And he's like, I have extinguished all of my enemies. Report in. And one ant is like, yes, we overheard them. We overheard their plans. They knew too much. And he's like, perfect. But now I need to kill you too. And then another ant kills that ant. And it's kind of brutal. I'm not gonna go into that thing. And alright, he slits his throat, man. I didn't want to say it. But I kind of had to put the visuals out there, because this is where you go like, this is, you know, the part of episode 2 where you're like, oh my god. Oh, is it gonna get even worse from here? And you're like, oh shit, I didn't expect to see this. I mean, from episode 1, it almost seemed like kind of calm. But now I'm seeing the brutal murder of an ant. And then all the other ants are like, why did you do that? Because we all know why we're here. And he's like, I'm setting an example. Alright. Maybe the ants, from this point, they start to realize how unstable. Alright, it's too graphic. Feeding the audience shock value. Yeah, but I feel like it works. You build from that, and you make the audience think, wow, that was too graphic. But then you tone it down after, so they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be caught off guard again, but maybe I will be. And then they are not until the final episode, right? But this makes all the ants uncertain about Kevin, the ant. No, not the ant, Kevin the worm. And they're all like, can we trust Kevin? He kind of seems like, you know, he's trying to build something greater. And all the ants are kind of idiots because ants are stupid. So we're kind of like, this is better than nothing, man. It's better than getting eaten by a bird. And he's like, is it? Is it, though? Is it better than being eaten by a bird? And one of the ants, that one ant, he leaves those ants. And he's like, this is not good. This is not good. There's something bad happening here. I can just tell something is wrong. Then he is captured by ants from another colony. And they're like, we were getting information in regards to a worm with a bird. How did I get to this point where I'm just making up a whole like HBO series? Now I'll keep going with it. We're getting information about a worm and a bird. And he's like, yeah, I can tell you everything. Dun. He's switching sides. End of episode 2. Episode 3 starts very calm and quiet. Maybe it's like a mom baking a cake. And she's like, oh, baking a cake and a pie. Then she turns around and she's like, I don't know, kissing her husband. And then she turns back again and the pie is gone. And she's like, what? You see a swarm of ants. You know, it's all the 3D like went into this one scene. You see full detailed ants just sweating as they're carrying this huge cake. And you hear like this epic music with drums like doo-doo, doo-doo. And they're like, for Kevin. They're fully into it. Holy, oh my god, Pikachu. Sorry, I have to interrupt the show to to give you our sponsor, Pikachu. I'm Pidgey. I'm so sorry, man. It's over. I don't want to further describe a show and accidentally kill Pikachu. Whoa! Almost. I can capture that. I need that Pikachu. The Pidgey is dead, but he served his cause. We did it. We're so back. Anyway, does anyone still care about the ants? Maybe we should make it, you know, an 8-episode season, not go on too long. And we're only on episode 3. Oh man. Maybe I'll just sum it up, you know, in quick sessions, you know, how does it develop? Well, you know, they bring the pie to Kevin. Kevin is like, thank you for the pie. As a treat, you will all be served pie tonight. And they all chant, hum, 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 I don't know, some kind of cool ant thing. I can't think of anything. I'm sure there's like maybe some military thing I could have thought of. Something they say in the military, some salute. And they all like, yes, Kevin, yes, Kevin. Is that what they say in the U.S. military? They just say, what's your name, General? Steven. Yes, Steven. Yes, Steven. And, so yeah. But then, you know, of course, all the other anthills are like, this is a problem, this is a problem. One of the anthills have become, like, overwhelmingly powerful. And I think, does Kevin the worm know about the other anthills? I think maybe this is what catches him off guard, and he's like, maybe he sees like all of the other anthills like descend upon his anthill. Everything is going calmly, you know, it's a calm episode as a whole. And we're like, yeah, we're just building character. We explore Kevin's backstory. We get to know him. He's like, yeah, I was always bullied by every other worms, but then I tried to hang out with other animals, and they were like, you're a worm, gross. And Timmy, the bird, is like, yeah, I just didn't want to eat worms. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Then, you know, we develop that further. They get to know each other. There's a whole, like, thing where they build not a relationship, but they build, like, well, I guess you could call it a friendly relationship, you know? They get to know each other, and they're like, you know what, Kevin? You're pretty cool. You're cool too, Timmy. And from that, we get to like these characters. We have explored where they came from, and we're like, man, I know a lot more about Kevin, and I can relate to his situation. He might be a bad guy, but, you know, we know why he's a bad guy. And then the anthills descend upon that anthill, and they're like, it's over, it's over, it's over. Am I back in Pallet Town? I was like, where's the, yeah, I'm back in Pallet. Why did I go here? I was just like, I wanted to go back to the first town, and then I went past that. Alright. And what does Kevin do when his anthill is like attacked, and they're like, we're under attack, we're under attack? Kevin is like, Timmy, we need to get out of here. And Timmy's like, what? But these are our ants. We have to help them. And he's like, there's nothing we can do. If you want to live, then you fly me out of here. And that's when, like, they fly. They abandon him. And they just see in the horizon how their anthill is, like, slaughtered. And Timmy's, like, learning something about Kevin. He's like, my God, man, is this okay? Is this right? Maybe Kevin is, like, I mean, I know he's had a harsh upbringing, but is it really okay to abandon all those ants? They helped us out. And he's like, they will get their revenge. They will get their revenge. He doesn't actually believe in this, but, you know, he needs Timmy to be on his side, the bird. And he's like, my next plan. Ugh. Maybe, what can a worm befriend that's not an ant? What could, maybe he's like, I was looking too small by trying to befriend the ants. You're a bird, we can go bigger than that. And he's like, what do you mean? Think of, I was gonna say ladybugs, but I don't know. It's just another kind of bug. Think of the smaller birds. How many birds do we need? He's like, I don't know. Get me one small bird. We'll take that bird by our side, and in time, we'll have hundreds. He's like, is that even possible? Yes. From this point, we kind of like, it would be boring to see them just gather up birds. So maybe we explore like a different character at this point. This is when we're getting to the Game of Thrones sides where it's like, oh wow, it's so many stories. Maybe we explore like a different worm. Maybe it's like one of Kevin's childhood friends, and he's like, oh, I miss Kevin. He always had it bad. I wish we could have been better friends, but now I have other friends, and we're hanging out. And then he hears about the massacre, and he's like, hey, did you hear about the worm gang? They're gone. And he's like, what? What do you mean they're gone? Well, their whole house was, like, decimated. They're all gone. He's like, what? No, but he is like, are we just leaving it there? And he's like, what can we do? We're worms. And it's like, I don't know. He explores the place, and he's like, what happened here? He explores the tracks. Ants? Ants. He explores where they came from. This anthill has been decimated, destroyed. Nothing is adding up. How did the ants who destroyed this place just disappear? They're all gone. They're all dead. He's like, what the hell is happening? And he's like, he sees the tracks of one bird. And he's like, but if it was no, that can't be right. It would have been more than one bird. He goes back to the other worms, and he's like, you know what? You guys were right. It was not worth exploring it. And he's like, well, what did you find? And he explains it, and we're like, don't even bother, man. This is beyond us. And he's like, yeah, it is beyond us, but it's not right. It's not right. This is when we go back to Kevin, and he's instructing several birds, and he's like, hey, we're just, I'm very much like you. I know you guys see me as food, but But then Kevin sets something up, right? He knows one of the birds is eyeing him, and that bird is like, I can't control myself. I'm gonna eat that worm. And Kevin is like planning for this. He's like sharpening a spear secretly at night. Oh yeah, hello Cobalt. Hello, Pokemon. We like Pokemon. So this worm is sharpening a spear at night, and he's like, I'm gonna kill this bird. He's planning for it. And then eventually, he's like, oh man. He's eyeing this bird. This bird is freaking out. And he's like, he has it prepared. But then nothing happens. And he's like, huh. Maybe a different time? Maybe a different time. And he's like, he's getting freaked out because he was estimating that this bird was going to eat him. But instead he is seeing this bird like overcome his like struggle and like not eat him. And he's like, I don't know if I can trust him. I don't know. And Timmy, the bird, is like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He's just like me. He's just like me. What do you mean you can't trust him? And he's like, I don't know. I saw how he was looking at me. He was looking at me like I'm food. I was like, well, not all birds are like that. Surely I've proven that to you. Yeah, maybe you have, but not him. I know this is a really bad bit to do for anyone who's just suddenly coming in, because I've been going on about this bird and worm story for how long now? Like 20 minutes, just a bird teaming up with a worm. And yeah, it's pretty good so far. I gotta say, it's pretty good, because now he's extremely distrustful. But what pushes him? You know what Kevin does? He proves his point to Timmy, who is like, he's just like me, he's just like me. But then Kevin does something that sets off that other bird, and he's like, I know what you are! I know what you are! And the bird is coming after him. And he spears the bird right in, I don't know, is this another graphic moment? The eye? And then he's like, oh, bird is screaming out. But then he goes even more brutal, and he stabs him in the other eye. That's like when you go like, no, that was too far. That was too far. But then he's brutal with it. And this is a moment where you're like, I don't know if I like this worm or not. And Timmy the bird is like, you were so right, you were so right. I thought he was just like me, but I was so wrong. And Kevin is like, yeah, I knew he was like that. You always have to listen to me. You know what they are like. And he's like, yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. Then we go back. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know where to go from here anymore. Do we go back to the other worm? I don't know I don't know how to end this bit. I don't know. I'm too good at this. I'm too good. I've just written a whole HBO like show. I don't like it. Take it away. Take it away from me. Please make it stop. I want to go back to talking about Pokemon. A bird, worm, they team up. Can we have a season break here? They release like 4 episodes on HBO, and everyone's talking about this show, and we're like, this is amazing. I know it sounds insane. It's about a bird and a worm, but you gotta check it out. The first 4 episodes are amazing. Then everyone's talking about it, and we're like, you gotta check it out. It's really good. Then they release the other 4 episodes, and everyone's like, it fell off. It's not good. They really fell off. It just made it all about, like, I liked it when it was about a bird and a worm. But now they're bringing in, like, a real-life politics to it. And I don't like it. And, like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it almost always was political in a weird way. Oh, no. So, yeah, that's my... that's my bird and worm show. It ends there. We end it with just like, yeah, no, it became bad. People didn't like the second half of the first season. And they made it all weird, and they had like a guest celebrity come in. They had like Ed Sheeran for one episode as a worm. And we're like, oh, why is he singing like a worm song about being a worm? This sucks. They made it like commercialized. So yeah, then that show ends with it just fizzles out, and people are like, what happened? This is like there was too much interference from like the production team and like the like studio heads at HBO. They really ruined the show, and I can't save it because I am the creator of the show, and this is me giving the panel to like what happened to Timmy and Kevin. The panel 10 years later after release, and there are still dedicated fans of the show, and I'm like the creator, and I'm giving the talk, and it's like, so basically, we didn't have the show finished. Yeah, it was too ahead of its time. And I'm the creator giving the talk of a panel. So basically, I had written the whole like season. This is what happened. I'd written the whole season, then it became huge after the first season, but the studio executives were like worried that like we're not like doing enough with the second half, because I wanted to delve deeper into the relationship of Kevin and Timmy, and you know, we have these like intrigue politics going on between like what does it mean to be a bird and a worm, and develop further from that. Like at some point you're not just a bird anymore, but you're something that has developed past being a bird. At some point you're not just a worm, you have developed past being a worm. You're like a wave in the ocean that has become self-aware that it is a wave, and all you know is that eventually you will crash on that beach and fizzle out. And everyone's like, okay, that sounds kind of cool, but I don't really understand how that would work. Maybe some people are actually going like, from how he described that, I don't get how that makes sense. And maybe the executives were right in being like, I'm confused by this. I don't get the concept. So they were like, bring in Ed Sheeran. So yeah, I was kicked off the first season, the second half, because they thought like, we don't like the thing, we need to bring back the violence, bring back the gore. But then they brought in the gore and violence to a point where it was just disgusting, and it turned the audience off. Before it was, you know, you built up towards it, it became shocking. Now it's just like, I'm bored of the violence, and I don't want to see like a worm-on-worm sex scene. I like, that's where I was like, I don't like this show. Why did they write? It doesn't make these characters interesting. I don't need to see Kevin do this in order to like him. So, yeah. I like my show. I think it was pretty good, but it was ruined. Pokemon. Yeah, Bulbasaur is cute. I don't know. I feel like I should just end stream. I don't know. I don't know. I've run out of topics. I peaked. Okay, I'll battle Brock. I'll battle Brock, and that's the end. That's the end. How was that a bit? Well, I don't know, man. I came up with it on the fly, and I felt like it made sense. The thing about, here's my writing. I don't know, my advice based on writing the Bird and Worm show. Just like establish characters and see the contrasts between characters and how they develop. Like, you don't really need a lot of story structure if you, or like any bigger ideas, like where does it need to go. If you just know who is this character, what do they want, what is their weakness, what do they not want to find out, what do they want, what is their goal. And then you have characters in contrast to that, who are like, this is what I want, this is my goal. And you have a basic thing of like, Kevin wants to survive because he's a worm. He sees himself as the lowest creature possible. And there's always going to be conflict. Time to get over Worm and make a new series. I'm worried. I'm worried. Hey guys, remember me? I wrote the Worm and Bird show 10 years ago. And people liked the first 4 episodes, but I was a writer of a good part of the show. I'm here to pitch you my new show on Kickstarter. It's called Giraffe and Rhino, and people are like, this fucking sucks, it's just the same show. And I'm like, no, I swear it's different. I know it's about animals again, but I'm kind of like trying to ride on that theme. It's concept, god damn it, I messed up. I shouldn't have made it about animals again. Make a Pokemon story, okay. Pokemon, Pikachu. I don't know, man. People still like Pikachu, right? Pikachu, no, we already made that. He doesn't want to go in the Pokeball. That's the first episode of Pokemon. God damn it. Pikachu, but he likes being in the Pokeball. Have they done that yet? They probably have. There's probably one episode of a Pikachu who's like, no, I don't want to go outside, I just want to stay inside. And then you make that into like a whole concept of like hikikomori and shut-ins and neats, and you're like, I don't like this show, it's too much of myself in it. Okay, different Pokemon show. You only like the fat one. Bring back the fat Pikachu. Maybe that's depressing, I don't know. Why? What makes the Pikachu fat? There's only a couple of reasons we can come to. I'll just bring me. I'll be lame about it. I'll bring in Bulbasaur, Pidgey, and Weedle. Wait, no, that's the same thing. God damn it, Pokemon, but they don't like fighting actually. Oh man, I feel like this is probably. I mean, this is. If I pitched that show, the Pokemon executives would be like, "Hey, we love it, you know." But we just want it to be worded a bit differently, you know? Could you not say fight? Could we make it about something else? Maybe Bulbasaur is arguing with Pikachu because he's like, hey, the trainer chose me. I was picked. I was, Machi got to pick me. And now you're like the favorite. What's up with that? I'm like staying in the Pokeball all the time, and Pikachu's like, well, it's not up to me, it's up to Machi. And yeah, you could develop further on that. Just like the concept of jealousy, you have the characters here, where it's like Bulbasaur is like, I was supposed to be the favorite, but Pikachu is like, I'm the mascot, but I didn't make the choice. He's just choosing me. Pokemon, but instead of skills, they fight bare hand like in the club. We're not allowed to talk about. Now this is interesting. What actually, what if there is like a Pokemon fight club, but they're like, hey guys, what if we don't need trainers? What if we just train ourselves? And we're like, This is a weird show concept because people would be like, this is a bit too self-aware for Pokemon, because Pikachu is like, I want to capture you, and Bulbasaur is like, huh? And he's like, you're going to be my Pokemon. And Bulbasaur is like, what? I actually don't understand general concepts of like ownership and stuff because I'm stupid, I'm an animal. And Pikachu's like, yeah, so am I, but I'm clever. So Pikachu becomes evil. Now this is something that Pokemon executives won't like. They will be like, can we make it a different Pokemon? It doesn't have to be Pikachu, he's a big mascot, we need something different. Maybe Meowth? And we're like, no, he comes around later. He's not gonna come around later, but this is the excuse I give to the executives, because I'm like, no, we're gonna make Pikachu a good guy. Don't worry about it. He's not gonna be a good guy. Season 2, it's too much. You've been saving... I should save the game. Oh my god, that's weird. Why did my Game Boy do that? Weird. Okay, Pikachu becomes self-aware, and he's like, hey guys, I'm the trainer. And the Pokemon are like, can you throw a Pokeball? And already you're like, okay, I've ruined the concept. Pikachu can't throw a Pokeball. Or can he? He's like balancing rocks on his tail, and he's like, I need bigger rocks, I need bigger rocks. I need to practice throwing Pokeballs. And he's like becoming better and better at it. Eventually he throws a Pokeball and he captures a Pokemon, and he's like, okay, well I can't get this open. Pikachu catches the trainers. I mean, the way the Pokemon executives would pitch this is like, maybe a weird flip episode where Pikachu becomes human and the human trainers become Pokemon. And you're like, yes. However, what if it kept going for like forever? Why do I pick Mankey? I don't want to go Pikachu right now. How about Pikachu becomes not human, but he becomes too self-aware, right? Ah, man, I'm trying to think about this from the position of like, you wouldn't be able to like just make this into a show. You can't go to the Pokemon executives and be like, Pikachu is evil now. They're gonna be fighting against that and be like, no, he's not. My one executive is going to give like a sob story that he has imagined, but it's not really real. He's like, my 5-year-old daughter loves Pikachu, and she would be devastated to see this. And his daughter doesn't actually give a shit, but he's like, he's trying to make it into a big story. He's like, oh yeah, I get where you're coming from. But I'm like, how do I do this? How do I pitch this? Pokemon staging a rebellion against their oppressors. Oh man. The executives would be like, we need to frame this differently. And he's like, okay, what if the trainers are bad? And I'm like, okay, sure. The trainers are bad, but maybe they made a mistake unintentionally. And they're like, I don't know about this, but yes, sure, that works. Why did I do that? I thought my Pikachu would have like other attacks, and he did not. He only has a Growl and Thundershock. I'm screwed. Rattata. Pikachu, but he's a Sith Lord, unlimited power. Could we? Now I'm thinking, could we do that? Just, what if, there's like a Alolan Raichu, right? Who is like Thunder and Psychic. So it wouldn't be impossible. What if Pikachu is like Alolan Pikachu and is about to develop into Alolan Raichu? And he's like starting to get these psychic powers that Alolan Raichu eventually gets. And he's like unlocking things in his brain without fully evolving and developing. My god, man, I am so failing this battle. I'm trying to pitch several stories at once and play this. So I'll take it. Okay, scratch all of that. I'm talking to the Pokemon executives right now, and I'm like, listen, scratch all of that. We're going to do it this way. And I know it's going to sound insane, but listen to me. And I have no clue what I'm talking about. I have absolutely no show in mind, but I'm like, listen, we've gone too far off the end. Let's start over. The original idea, I have forgotten the original idea, but I'm trying to remember. I'm like, the original idea was Pikachu, but with a twist. Right, I got them back, and we're all listening, we're all leaning in. Okay, Pikachu with a twist. We need to keep Pikachu interesting to maintain the brand value that Pikachu has. We're all leaning in for her. Yeah, this is corporate speak. We get it. We like it. And I'm like, Pikachu is a good guy. But what if his trainer is bad, and slowly Pikachu begins to realize the ways of his trainer that they are bad? And we're like, this is not as good as what it sounded like what you were about to pitch, but okay, that sounds bearable. And they stamp for approval, and I'm like, yes, now I get to do what I want, which is this fucked up Pikachu show. Okay, my Weedle just died immediately. I'm so screwed. I'm not winning this battle, I think. I'll send it. Pikachu is just going to die. Damn it. Okay, here's my Pikachu show. Okay, the trainer is bad. We established that. But then he loses track of his trainer, right? And now only the Pikachu is bad. And he's in the wild. And he's like, I've been taught all these evil ways by my evil Pokemon trainer. And, he is starting to establish dominion based on what he has previously learned from his evil trainer. Which he doesn't know is bad. And that is how he establishes control over Pokemon. And he's like learning tactics for like throwing Pokeballs with his tail and stuff like that. I am so back. I won. This is a winning pitch. We're so back, baby. And all the executives stood up and clapped, even though they had, you know, they all had already approved the show. They're like, yes, money. I'm like, yes. Pikachu, you got it. You still got it, baby. I'm starting to feel like my throat hurt, so I feel like I'm gonna save the game and then we'll go raid someone because I feel like talking about this worm and bird show was I don't know, that was the peak, and I just kept going, and my throat is now in pain all because of that. I had too much to say about the bird and worm show. Do a hydrate. Oh yeah, I have water. I poured up. This is what streamers do. I get it now. Wow, I could have avoided that? That's crazy.